Good morning, everyone. Thank you for joining us. My name is Kim Everhart. I'm a member of the marketing team here at Percona, and I'm excited to welcome you to our webinar this morning. We're going to be discussing why Postgres is becoming a migration target in large enterprises. And we have Jobin Augustine, a senior support engineer here at Percona, who's going to walk you through this presentation. Before we get started, I'm just going to go over a few housekeeping things. First and foremost, everybody is muted. So we welcome questions. If you have any during the presentation, feel free to drop them into the question box, I guess is what you call it, and we'll answer them at the end of the presentation. If for some reason we run out of time, we will take all of your questions and get them answered offline, and then we will respond with a blog, including the recording, with the answers to the questions. Aside from that, the webinar is being recorded, so you should receive that recording within, I would say the next, 6 to 8 hours via email. So I want to do a little bit of a sound test before I kick it over to Jobin, just to make sure everybody can hear and can see all right. So if you can just let me know via chat that you can hear me right now, which is kind of a weird thing because if you can't hear me, you're not going to be able to let me know you can hear me. But if you can hear me, raise your hand up or make a note, just letting me know that we are all good. And so I see some hands going up. That's awesome. Thank you so much. And then also, I'm going to put those down. Can you raise your hand and let me know if you can see the screen? It should have the first slide for Jobin's presentation. And I saw another hand go up. Wonderful. Thank you guys all so much. I really appreciate it. So Jobin, if you're ready, I'd love to turn this over to you so we can get started this morning.
Thank you. Thank you, Kim.
You're welcome.
Yeah. Welcome, everyone. Good morning, good afternoon, and good evening, based on your location. So my name is Jobin. I work for Percona as a senior support engineer, Postgres. So today we are going to discuss why Postgres is becoming a migration target for large enterprises. So many of you might have heard that a lot of companies are migrating to Postgres. So what is the compelling reasons behind that? So let me get started. So today's agenda, what are the major trends? And the reasons are classified into multiple categories: the management and executive reasons, and the developers and technology reasons, operations reasons, and architects reasons, community and ecosystem, government and security reasons. And then we are going to discuss about few migration tools. And finally, we are going to see some simple demo using FDW. Okay, this is the agenda for today. So let's get started. So what's happening now? All of you might have seen this DB engine ranking graph regarding the Postgres. Now it looks like almost a straight line in the screen, but one thing we need to notice is the y-axis is actually logarithmic scale. So the graph is not really straight line. It is a bit more curved. It's not like hockey stick, but yeah, it's a little more curved. So what I mean to say, the migration and the adoption of Postgres is accelerating. More and more users start using Postgres. Yeah, so let's jump into the executive management reasons. What are the reasons behind the switch to Postgres? Okay, so before that, what's happening? Yeah, like we mentioned, the large number of migrations are happening from proprietary databases, not much from other open source databases, mainly from proprietary database. And there are a few migrations from other NoSQL world also. And few companies, you might have heard this from outside, few companies made Postgres as the default choice of database in their organization. So if you want to use any other database, they need to raise a request to the top level executives and get a special approval. And other thing is majorly cloud vendors are promoting it, because there are multiple reasons behind that, including the license associated with that. Yeah, and we are going to see much more details in other slides. Yeah. So for management, the most important factor is the total cost of ownership. So this is the major driving factor in Postgres adoption. And various survey results shows a lot of cost savings. Okay, and you can see where I picked the numbers, Gartner and multiple vendors. Yeah, so overall IT spending is decreasing, and not just the license cost, but the cost of operation also. We'll see the reasons behind that in coming slides. So the cost of ownership is one major factor, and another major factor which is driving the adoption is mergers and acquisitions. So when big mergers are happening, they merge different teams, and they found that they come to know that few teams are much more efficient uh, in terms of their operation, and the top level management really takes a decision. Okay, if one team is successful in doing something, why can't we do that across the organization? So we have seen a lot of migrations happening because of these mergers and acquisitions, and it's not just cost saving. And another factor is after the merger or acquisition, the uh, the the major hurdle behind the migration goes away, because management may be considering how can I start adopting a new technology when we don't have anything. Starting from ground zero is difficult, but when they get a new team with skills, that's the time they can start expanding the existing team and uh, adopting the Postgres. Yeah. And another major factor is the cloud migration strategy. Now, many companies are moving to cloud, and from their on-premise or things like that. So somehow, maybe because of the licensing flexibility, we have huge number of cloud vendors supporting PostgreSQL, not just as the infrastructure as service, but also database as service also. If I want to put all the logos here, it will be very big. So I just picked some bigger names. Yeah. So we have large number of cloud vendors. If you just Google around, you may see a handful of them, even new startups. Okay, and another thing is the ownership of the software. So when it comes to big organization, they are majorly worried about say one software getting brought out by another player, and there is fear of uncertainty and all those things. In Postgres, it's like Linux. It's an open source project, not a product. So it cannot be brought out. It will remain open throughout its life, so that fear is not required anymore. So like this, people put the attention shifts from total cost of ownership to total ownership of freedom. So that's what happens in that. There is a lot of uncertainty going away. And another thing is the support. Uh, uh, Postgres has large community, and even the core contribution, core team cannot come from a single company. So it is completely diversified community across the globe, across across the regions and the companies and what's not. So we know there are so many companies in single region itself. So I kept some few numbers here. Yeah, so when a client adopts Postgres, they don't have to have that fear of getting logged in if they're staying with the pure Postgres. This gives a lot of freedom to the management. And another factor is the intellectual property. As we know, when few engineering companies start developing their new product, uh, they'll be majorly worried about the intellectual property of the softwares they depend on. So the best example is the Green Plum or timescale database. So when this started, so the Postgres gives that freedom. Okay, we'll see the license later on. So the entire intellectual property remains with the organization. There is no attribution required to any other company or entity outside. So you own it. And this is the license agreement of Postgres. As we can see, this is a single liner statement. Permission to use, copy, modify, and distribute the software. Basically, you can do anything with the software. It's completely at your hand. It's a single line statement. There is no complexity associated. This gives a lot of freedom and people comfort to the legal department, and no complexity associated with the license. So you're free to use it for any purpose, but don't sue anyone back. That's the only clause. And we saw the top level management reasons why they push for Postgres. Now we are going to see what is there for developers, why developers prefers Postgres. So when we look at the Stack Overflow survey, developer survey, we see that Postgres is second most popular database. The first one, of course, is not a competitor; it's an in-memory database. And among all the relational database systems, Postgres is the most loved database by developers. This is the developer survey results of 2019. 2020 is not yet out. And when we look at what is the most database, we see those databases from which the migrations are happening. So we know how the ecosystem is forming from the developer's point of view. So there is a reason behind that. So first of all, when somebody moves to Postgres, just like Linux, there is no special editions. So every feature is available to Postgres users. So no more cripplwares. Then people get confused about there are so many derived softwares out of Postgres. So we are not talking about the derived softwares from Postgres. The main Postgres, the real Postgres, is free for all with all the features in place. And another thing is for developers, the Postgres stick to the SQL standards. So currently, you might have seen that SQL 2016 standards are implemented. It's not fully compliant, but it's work in progress, and probably Postgres is one of the database with maximum compliance with the standard. As you can see, majority of the features are implemented. And some of the recommendations, like a foreign data wrappers, other than Postgres, maybe IBM might have implemented some of the parts. But so overall, the community discouraged any kind of deviation from standards. So this gives a lot of comfort to the developers, because all their knowledge, what they learn, become portable because it's standard. And this is another aspect of Postgres. So developers need not worry about the language skills they have. In Postgres, the stored procedures or the functions can be coded in pretty much every language available in the industry. So the default is PGSQL, but say we have lot of people, developers with the Python skills or JavaScript skills, uh, Java, yeah. So they can leverage their knowledge to write code or the functions or procedures or even modules in Postgres in the server side. And uh, since Postgres is an open source database, it's just a core. There are a lot of things around that. It's like part of a big ecosystem. So there are other projects like Postgres. Yeah, so it provides the REST APIs on the top of Postgres. So we have seen very many usage of this. There are good presentations about this. You can search in YouTube as well. Yeah, and another major thing, JSON support. SQL 2016 standards came out with the JSON features. It is standardized. One of the major challenge for JSON was that every database implemented their own way, the APIs or the functions. So JSON APIs were scattered. Luckily, the standard came out and they standardized many of the APIs. And Postgres had JSON support much before, and those old APIs are still there, but the new APIs are provided, which is standard compliant. So now Postgres is one of the most standard compliant JSON document store. Yeah. And another, this is something which every developer likes. So I just kept a small snippet of what the client tool provides. Say, when they write SQL on the tool, it is so friendly in terms of giving the guidance and so like in the screen we can see that it's erroring out saying that table1.b, that column is not existing. The column table1.b is not existing, and and it points out the location with a remark, and then moreover it gives even hints. Okay, perhaps you mean to refer the column table2.b because table1 don't have a column called b. Table2 is having the column. So it's so friendly. So when we go to the rapid development and areas, the developers may not be expert in every area, so the debugging capabilities and figuring out the problems is very important. So Postgres works so handy. And as you can see in the second screen, the client tools like PSQL support a lot of plugins. This is PSPG. It gives a UI on the top of your terminal, and you can sort or filter. There are so many features in the command prompt itself. So your Postgres command prompt becomes so versatile. It will be very helpful for those who are not so familiar with Postgres. Yeah. So what I mean to say is I'm just giving one or two examples of how the client tools works. This is just an example. Every tool, every software around Postgres is developed by the community because it's user driven. It's an open source project, so it's friendly. And yeah, so when we look at the development tools, there is a growing trend towards some of the newly open sourced IDEs or editors like Visual Studio Code. So when we talk about Postgres community, it is not just people. It involves the other companies also. And since this source code is the source code and the license is very open and no pain associated. Even the big giants like Microsoft started supporting Postgres in a big way. So the number one editor as per the survey is Studio Code, which is open source. Microsoft provided a lot of plugins for speeding up the developments. So it's very easy. As we can see in the screen, the adding the plugin from the GitHub and enabling it is very easy. It's a MIT license. It's free to use and easy. And this is a screenshot from my Linux desktop, the same Visual Studio Code running on Linux. It is giving all the suggestions, autofills. It's for a developer point of view, these tools say they get IDE plus SQL editor in single place, which is supported by the vendor itself. Yeah, so it's very good. So these are just examples. So where the companies contribute towards Postgres. Okay, it's not the only one. There are many. Okay, yeah. So we are going to the operations teams reasons why operation guys select Postgres. In many of the surveys, what we see is they favor Postgres because of its stability. Okay, Postgres gives much more stability than their expectation. That's a interesting statement. When companies move out of their proprietary database, what they start observing is their downtime, the number of incidents comes down. Mainly because the development is so open, every line of code getting completely audited, completely reviewed. Even one line change requires so much of discussions and things like that. So the number of bugs in the system will be very less. And the Postgres follows a zero bug policy. There won't be any non-bugs. You might have observed Postgres don't have a bug database. Yeah. So if there is a non-issue, it won't be released. Yeah, and when it comes to the high availability solutions, Postgres is not just offering single one. There are a big list of high availability solutions, and in Percona we promote Patroni because it's bigger in community and it provides a lot of features which everyone wants. But yeah, it's not the only one in the world. So there are so many high availability solutions, which is really giving the nines, 3 9, 4 nines, 5 nines. So we have the option to select the configuration because it's flexible. It leverages the existing infrastructure. Yeah. And when it comes to the backup solution, Postgres ships backup, PG-based backup with full online hot backup capabilities. But if you want advanced features, yes, there are so many options. Open source, community options. So one of the things which is very popular is PG Backrest. It has the parallel backup options, compression, all the differential backup. See what all things we can expect from a backup solution. It's there in these solutions, and that's not the only one. The similar features are available from Barman or Valji. So there are so many. Yeah. So the availability of tools, even in a particular area, is so versatile. That's what I want to mention. Yeah, and monitoring tools in Percona we have PMM and even troubleshooting tools. You might have heard about the PG Badger. So it's not the only one. There are so many scripts, and there are extensions specifically for DBAs and community developed scripts. And we in Postgres community we have wiki, and there are so many resource available for any area of you're working, whether it is a developer area or DBA, the operations area. Yeah. And we are coming to the architects reasons why architects selects PostgreSQL. Yeah, and the most obvious reason is it supports the stored procedures, very good stored procedures, which is compatible, which can be compared with any industry leading vendor provided procedure capabilities. And we this is one reason why people select Postgres when they move from Oracle. Okay, and in Postgres, the default language PLPG SQL is not the only option. We have other languages also. The same code can be written in Python or TCL or Perl or other things. So we have a lot of options, and at the same time we have the full functionality of the stored procedures. And since Postgres is open and it's a community, lot of interoperability systems exist. So whether it is foreign data wrappers, replication, or CDC things. When a company moves from their existing database to Postgres, maybe they are moving one of the database to Postgres. So that system won't get isolated. It can still talk to the rest of the system using these features. So we have seen say HR systems migrating, and still the old financial systems are able to talk to the HR system. Yeah, so that's the pain of migrating will go away. And yeah, these are some of the areas where still work is going on. So Postgres have native sharding capabilities, which it is not yet matured. So currently it has the predicate push down, aggregate push down, and join push down. And there are few good features, but still the parallel scheduling, all those things are still not not in. It's coming. But there are extensions currently providing that. One is extensions from Citus Data, and this company is acquired by Microsoft. Yeah, so they provide the solution, the sharding solution in the cloud. Yeah, but the main part of the extension is still available in their public repository. Yeah, these are just examples. The scale up examples. And there are people who select Postgres to have the time scale data, the time series data, because of some of the very good extensions like time scale. The idea behind this time scale or the time series data is that majority of the workload will be insert statements. It's a from IoT devices or the machines continuously data will be coming to Postgres. So Postgres is very light on inserts because you don't have to have the old version. There are multiple reasons why time series data is best fit for Postgres, and this is one of the extensions. And another thing is other domain specific extensions like PostGIS is a geospatial extension. This is a very big community, really huge, and we have seen a lot of people, a lot of organizations selecting Postgres just to have this PostGIS in place, this domain specific extension in place. So it's not a single extension. There is a group of extensions, and there is no equally compatible or equally versatile solution from anywhere else. So this is a very compelling reason for opting Postgres. And apart from all these architectural reasons, in terms of features, every important feature in a relational database is available in Postgres, whether it is metallized views or uh, uh, say parallel execution for a reporting system, so matured stored procedures, triggers, all those things. Yeah, and even the transactions, even the DDLs are transaction capable. That's something which really helps many of the users. So architecture wise, it can accommodate a lot of requirement. Yeah, and when it comes to the matured parallel execution with the partitioning, yeah, the Postgres is one of the best among the industry leaders. Yeah. Yeah, so we are going to see other reasons. Uh, when some organizations try to migrate, they start assessing which is the best database to move to. So Postgres gives highest conversion rates by different migration tools. So you may be knowing different types of migration tools which can convert your DDLs into Postgres or other database DDLs or schema. When the migration happens from a very highly capable database, Postgres gives highest conversion rate because it has one-to-one features, similar features, more number of features in compatible features. Yeah, so one is like we mentioned, it's procedure languages, and we have more compliance with the standards. So the things which is existing in the current system can be easily converted into Postgres. If the same level of conversion need to happen to other database system, a lot of re-engineering work need to be done. Uh, so in the initial stage of assessment itself, this point comes up. So if the migration happens to Postgres, the conversion will be easier. And this is one of the example of which makes the conversion easy. Some extensions are existing in the system in the community, which will give compatibility with say Oracle, which implements the same functions as Oracle, and it provides the same view or same. So the existing code need not change too much. So re-engineering work will be very minimal. If you add this feature to if we add this extension to Postgres, it will give all this functionality, Oracle compatible functionality. And these are some of the well-known conversion tools, migration tools, schema conversion tools. Proprietary is of course the most popular and community-driven thing, and AWS provides their own schema conversion tool, and other vendors have tie-up with other migration tool vendors. So yeah. And okay, the schema conversion or schema migration is only one part, after which we need to look into the data migration part, because the existing system might be holding huge amount of data, how to move that data to the new system. So the same migration tool like Proprietary is capable of doing that, or we can leverage any of the things like built-in Oracle FDW or ETL tool, or Amazon kind of providers gives migration services, or we can use cross database replication, because Postgres gives a logical replication. It decodes the changes, and that can be streamed. So we have seen cases where data get replicated from Postgres to Mongo, or yeah. And we have large number of ETL tools which can do the data migration part. Yeah. Yeah. So one of the most common data or schema migration tool is the FDW itself, especially when they move from Oracle to Postgres. This requires Oracle client libraries, and it supports foreign inserts and updates and deletes. So FDW is a method by which a table definition in Postgres can query the remote data is sitting in Oracle or any other database. So in this case, I'm talking about the Oracle. Yeah, same happens with other database as well. Okay, so this is an example how the connections can be made. Say a table definition. A table definition will be like create foreign table, some table name, and the columns, and then we provide the remote server connections. Okay. But some of the requirements are like, say, the table need to have a key if it is if there is updates, remote updates or delete to happen. Yeah, otherwise you may get a error. And for migrations, it supports the import foreign schema commands, so the migration can be done easily. And interestingly, that these FDWs converts the data types intelligently. So we may see a option in the demo. So let me quickly show you a quick demo. I hope you are able to see my screen. Okay, so in this, I'm connected to a Postgres database, and there is no schema. So I'm going to create two schemas. So one is HRORA. This is to hold foreign tables, foreign table definitions, which is pointing to the Oracle database. And later, we want to migrate this into a Postgres schema. So we are going to create another schema here. Once it is done, we can import the entire Oracle schema directly to the HRORA schema in a single command. So this is the command. So import foreign schema from HR schema in the server. Server XE is the Oracle server sitting on another virtual machine, to the HRORA schema which we created now. So this now we can inspect what are the foreign tables created. So look at this. So all the foreign tables are created with a single command. So all entire DDL got converted, and metadata is prepared in Postgres, and yeah, foreign tables are defined. And now if you query on these foreign tables, for example, the countries table, actually this data is coming from Oracle, even though we are executing this query on Postgres. Now, if we want to move this data to Postgres, we can create another table in the other schema, say the HR schema, like create table HR.countries, like the foreign table. So the local table is created now. So now it's a matter of moving the data. Moving the data can be done in multiple ways, which we discussed, the tools or replications or a number of. Say the simplest thing will be select and insert here. Okay, so we can select from the foreign table and insert into the local table. So this is now if we query on this, it's our countries, this schema. Now the data is coming from the local table. But if we want to do it for a lot of tables, we can just create a query which will prepare all the statements for all the tables. And then it's a matter of executing this all the statements one by one. So yeah, there is an error because we already done the countries table migration. Yeah, so all the tables are created, and then if we want to do the data migration, it's up to the tools or the methods, but still we can do the insert, but this requires the downtime. So we can just execute all these insert statements. Yeah, so we have seen a cube migration, but this is not the way. We know there is a downtime associated because if there is some changes happening in the source system now, it won't be replicated here. So the real migrations are complex, but what I want to say is the ecosystem is so matured with this few simple commands, small databases which can allow the migration downtime can have. Yeah, it's easy to do the migration. So one more thing I want to show you is the data type conversion which we talked about. These tools are smart enough to convert the data types from the source system to the Postgres. So look at the employees table. So we can see that it intelligently selected the integer or small int, numeric, etc. Because the source system, which was an Oracle database, it didn't had this segregation of data types. So these tools are really intelligent in doing the data type conversion. So this is a quick demo. Yeah, so just recap. First step is schema migration, then data migration. Yeah, that's all. So any questions, any comments?
Hi there. Yes, thank you. We did get a couple questions coming through. So if you're ready, I will be happy to read them to you.
Yeah.
All right. So can you give us some more details around support for Postgres from Percona? Do you have any of that information?
Yeah, in Percona we are supporting the community Postgres in a full-fledged way, as well as we have our own distribution of Postgres, Percona distribution for Postgres, and we are against any kind of vendor locking. So it's a fully open way of supporting the customers. Yeah, and we support a wide range of extensions, not all. Yeah, so that's all.
Okay. I'm not sure exactly if I'm reading this right, but do you recommend HA architecture? Recommended HA architecture? I'm not sure if that's the
Yeah.
makes sense to you. Okay.
Yeah, so Postgres has built-in features like physical replication, physical standby, so which is sufficient enough for majority of the systems. Okay, so the setup is easy, and very less issues are there. But there could be a requirement like from the organization, I want to achieve say 4 nines of availability or 5 nines of availability. The system should detect the problem and automatically do the failover. So all these additional requirements requires extra HA automation. So that's where the place this automation frameworks comes in. But most of them still leverages the physical standby features within. Uh, the one which we recommend is Patroni, of course, and it is using HCD cluster for the raft algorithm. HCD is used as a centralized store of the single truth about the entire cluster. If any of this machine gets down, it will be removed from the cluster, and we can configure even tools like a watchdog, so that the eviction of that the problem node will happen. Yeah, and it can give the availability requirement for most of the business cases. Yeah.
Okay, great, thank you. And then there's another question about Enterprise DB versus Postgres. Why would you choose one over the other?
Yeah, so I think we mentioned about the vendor lock-in. The main idea behind Postgres is all about the open nature, the bigger community, people around the world auditing what's happening in the source code, and making sure that only the real changes are getting in, and the quality. Say when 100 people looks into the same code, there is chance that some or other issues might be uh, somebody will be pointing out the issues. Yeah. So as the development gets into smaller groups, the wider discussions won't happen, first of all, and uh, the associated problems also. So if we are using any of the Postgres derived softwares, so only those vendor can support it. So basically, you'll get locked in. Yeah. So the quality and of course the yeah, so one point which I skipped is the security aspect about the openness. So it's the same since there is the entire source code is getting audited. There is no place to sneak anything. Yeah. Uh, so although there are a lot of factors and uh, the yeah the no vendor locking is the major factor. Yeah.
Okay, thank you. Uh, um, how do you best manage and back up Postgres? Should I do manual deletes, or does it work like MySQL partition?
Oh yeah, the Postgres so the backup tools which we mentioned, the PG backrest, that has a lot of features where we can maintain our backup policies. Basically, you are as a user, you will be going to define your backup policies. How many full backups are required? What is the increment backup uh, daily, or so? What is your policy? Yeah. So at a higher level, we can define our policies. These tools will take care of how to do that. So it is versatile, and it can take the backup to the cloud storages, all those things. There are so many features associated. Yeah, so we recommend using any of these backup tools instead of just taking the very base PG based backup. Yeah.
Okay, great. What are the challenges in conversion tools? For example, Oracle PL SQL stored procedures are converted to Postgres.
Yeah, that's a very big area. There are a lot of challenges. So the tools don't have the real human intelligence, right? So it converts, but it need to be further revalidated, retested, whether it is really um, satisfying the business requirement and performance requirements. Um, so even if the conversion rate is high, still there is a lot of work associated in retesting and revalidating, and the conversion rate is never been 100%. So there are cases where most cases where manual intervention is required, and two databases are never going to be identical. There will be features in Postgres which is not in Oracle. There will be features in Oracle which is not in Postgres. So we need to re-engineer certain things. So yeah, there is work,
Okay.
associated work involved.
Okay. And there's one more question. Is Oracle's PL/SQL supported natively, or does it need to be translated?
This is not Oracle's PLSQL. It is similar to Oracle's PLSQL. It's called PLPGSQL. Yeah, the constructs are similar, but yeah, there is differences. So that's where this tools comes into picture. These tools are able to create a framework with most of the code conversion. Yeah, rest of the things manually we may have to convert it. Yeah.
Okay. Well, that's the end of our questions. So I want to thank you guys for joining us this, well, it's morning for me, but it may be, I think it's evening for Jobin. So, but either way, I thank you guys for taking some time out of your day. The recording will be available shortly and you guys will receive it via email. So thank you again and enjoy the rest of your day. Thanks, Jobin.
Thank you. Thank
All
you,
right. Have a
everyone.
good one. Bye-bye.
Bye bye.